She was one of the era's chart-topping stars, her voice blasting from radios and her face on magazine covers everywhere. But today, her life couldn't be more different. Imagine going from sold-out arenas to a quiet life in rural England. What really happens when fame fades away? Over the next few minutes, you'll see three pop icons who completely reinvented their lives after the spotlight dimmed. Some of their transformations are inspiring, others shocking, and a few will leave you speechless. The world saw them as legends, but behind the scenes, their journeys took unexpected turns. Let's go back to the beginning and see how these women became the queens of their time. At their peak, these women set the standard for what it meant to be a superstar in the music industry. The highs of fame brought them into living rooms around the world. Their songs and images broadcast on radio, TV, and magazine covers. Fans memorized every lyric, copied every dance move, and tried to emulate the bold looks that became their signatures. The pop landscape of the 1970s through to the 1990s was shaped by a handful of standout artists who didn't just chase trends, they created them. Donna Summer, often called the Queen of Disco, was one of the most influential voices of the late 70s and early 80s. Her hit, Hot Stuff, became a defining anthem of the disco era, and her style and sound helped set the tone for a generation that lived for the dance floor. Summer's career was built on a blend of undeniable vocal talent and a stage presence that commanded attention, making her a fixture in clubs and on the charts. Her music wasn't just popular, it captured the spirit of a cultural movement, and her influence is still heard in pop and dance music today. Then came Madonna, who took the 1980s by storm and changed the rules for female pop stars. Her arrival marked a shift in how artists could control their image and narrative. Madonna's early hits, like a Virgin and Material Girl, were more than catchy singles. They were statements that challenged expectations and pushed boundaries. Her music videos, especially in the MTV era, turned songs into visual events. When Vogue premiered in 1990, it wasn't just another release, it was a cultural phenomenon that introduced a new dance craze and cemented Madonna's reputation as a master of reinvention. She knew how to keep the audience guessing, and her willingness to take risks made her one of the most talked about artists of our time. The rise of MTV in the 1980s changed everything. Suddenly, image mattered as much as sound, and the artists who could deliver both soared to the top. Madonna's innovative videos set the bar, but she wasn't alone. The industry invested heavily in promoting stars through television, radio, and massive tours that brought fans closer than ever before. Record labels recognized the power of a strong visual identity, and the most successful female artists became not just musicians, but brands. Their faces sold albums, inspired fashion trends, and shaped the look and sound of an entire era. From Stevie Nicks' mystical stage presence to Gloria Estefan's Latin rhythms and Cher's fearless style, these women defined pop's golden age. Their music was more than just entertainment. It was the soundtrack to people's lives. A single song could bring back memories of a first love, a wild night out, or a turning point in somebody's story. Fans connected deeply with these artists, and the nostalgia for those years remains strong even today. But even at the height of success, the reality behind the scenes was much more complicated. The pressure to stay on top was relentless. Female pop stars faced demanding schedules, constant media scrutiny, and the need to keep reinventing themselves to hold the public's attention. Many struggled to balance their careers with their personal lives, and the expectations placed on them led to exhaustion and, in some cases, burnout. While some artists have spoken openly about the toll this took on their mental health, it was a common experience for many women in the industry. The music business wasn't always welcoming, especially for women who didn't fit the mold or tried to break new ground. Artists like Tina Turner had to fight not just for their place on the charts, but for basic respect and fair treatment in an industry that often favored youth and conformity. Turner's comeback in her 40s with Private Dancer was a powerful reminder that talent and determination could overcome even the toughest obstacles, but it also highlighted how hard it was for women to sustain long-term success. Despite the challenges, these icons left a lasting mark. Their influence can be seen in the artists who followed. the trends they started, and the way pop music is still shaped by their innovations. Their story reminds us that fame is never as simple as it looks from the outside. The highs are exhilarating, but the costs are real. And when the spotlight eventually moves on, every star has to figure out what comes next. When the music fades and the flashing lights go dark, the life of a pop star takes a new turn. Moving past the height of their careers, many pop stars face a reality that looked nothing like the world they once ruled. Life after fame brought a mix of opportunity and challenge, forcing these icons to find new meaning outside the spotlight. For some, the transition offered a chance to reinvent themselves and use their influence for causes they cared about. For others, it meant confronting unexpected hardships as they adapted to life beyond the charts. Olivia Newton-John is a standout example. After the massive success of Grease and hits like Physical, she stepped away from the relentless pace of stardom in the 1990s. Rather than fade quietly, Olivia used her public platform to become an advocate for health causes following her own battle with breast cancer. She inspired many by turning her personal struggles into a mission to help others, showing that a second act can be just as meaningful as the first. Pat Benatar, famous for her powerful vocals on tracks like Love is a Battlefield, also chose a different path as pop music changed in the 90s. She continued to create music but did so on her own terms, releasing albums independently and performing without the pressure of mainstream expectations. This decision allowed her to maintain her artistry while stepping away from the exhausting routine of global fame. Financial struggles were a harsh reality for some stars whose fortunes didn't last. Toni Braxton, known for Unbreak My Heart and other R&B classics, publicly faced financial difficulties despite selling millions of records. Her story made headlines when she filed for bankruptcy twice, revealing the complicated side of music contracts and industry pressures. Even with multi-platinum sales, Toni's journey showed that fame and wealth don't always go hand in hand. She eventually made a comeback, returning to music and reality television, but her ups and downs remained under public scrutiny. Whitney Houston's career is another reminder of the challenges that can follow major success. Once celebrated as the greatest voice of her generation, Whitney's later years were marked by personal struggles that often overshadowed her work. The intense media coverage focused on her difficulties, leaving little space for her talent or the complexity of her life. Her experience highlights how quickly the public can turn and how difficult it is to recover when every misstep is magnified. For many artists, the emotional toll of stepping away from the limelight can be just as challenging as any financial or professional setback. Former stars often report depression and anxiety after leaving the spotlight, struggling to adjust to a world where the applause has faded. The loss of identity and purpose is a common theme, especially for those who spent years being defined by their fame. Still, there are stories of resilience and reinvention. Debbie Gibson, the teen idol behind Lost in Your Eyes, faced health challenges but continued to perform in theater and tour for nostalgic fans. She embraced her legacy and found new ways to connect with audiences, proving that careers can evolve even when mainstream attention fades. Some transformations took even more surprising turns. Gloria Gaynor, best known for I Will Survive, shifted to gospel music as disco's popularity waned. She found a new sense of purpose and reached fresh audiences, showing that adaptability can lead to lasting fulfillment. Kim Wilde, who made waves with Kids in America, left the music industry to become a landscape gardener and author. She spoke openly about how reconnecting with nature brought her personal satisfaction that fame never could. Not every comeback was expected. Cher, for instance, returned to the top of the charts with Believe in 1998, long after critics had counted her out. Her ability to adapt to new trends and reinvent her sound set her apart from others who struggled to remain relevant. What ties these stories together is the reminder that fame is unpredictable and often fleeting. The women who once dominated pop culture faced setbacks, reinvented themselves, and sometimes found happiness in unexpected places. Some managed to hold on to their public image, while others changed so much that even their biggest fans might not recognize them. But for a few, the changes went far beyond career moves or personal growth. Some transformations were so dramatic, physically and personally, they left the world stunned. These stories raise questions about what it really means to move on from fame and how the pressure of the industry shapes the people we once knew so well. Keep watching, because in the next part, you'll see just how unrecognizable some of these former icons have become, and the reason behind their unbelievable transformations. Some stars who once graced the cover of magazines and lit up television screens are barely recognizable today, and it's not just due to the passage of time. Their transformations, whether physical, personal, or both, show how fame and change often go hand in hand. These women left behind their iconic images and embraced lives that few could ever have predicted. Some faded into quiet anonymity, while others made bold choices that shocked fans and industry alike. The reason behind these changes are as varied as the stars themselves. Linda Ronstadt stands out as one of the most dramatic examples. She was known as the Queen of Rock in the 70s, with a voice that could fill any concert hall and hits like Blue Bayou that defined an era. Her natural beauty and stage presence made her unforgettable. But her journey took a turn when, in 2013, she revealed her Parkinson's disease diagnosis. The illness forced her to retire from performing. Linda's appearance has changed, but her acceptance and openness about her health have inspired many. She remains a symbol of resilience, showing that even legends are not immune to life's challenges. Grace Jones, famous for her androgynous look and boundary-pushing style in the 80s, has always been a mystery. Her music and fashion statements, like Pull Up to the Bumper, made her a pop culture force. These days, she's largely stepped back from the limelight, making only rare public appearances. Even now, when she does show up, she brings the same bold individuality that made her a legend. Her transformation is less about fading away and more about maintaining her mystique on her own terms. Courtney Love's story is a different kind of transformation. As the frontwoman of Hole in the 90s, she was known for her grunge style and outspoken personality. Over the years, her physical changes have fueled endless speculation, highlighting the scrutiny female stars endure as they age in the public eye. Courtney's willingness to be herself, no matter what people say, is a reminder of how tough it can be to hold on to your identity when everyone is watching. Some stars chose to step away from fame entirely. Agnetha Falkog from ABBA was a dazzling presence during the group's heyday, known for her radiant smile and vocals on hits like Dancing Queen. After ABBA, she retreated to a quiet life in Sweden, valuing privacy and family. She occasionally returned for special performances, but mostly preferred to stay out of the spotlight. Her transformation from global superstar to private citizen shows a side of fame that's rarely discussed: the desire to simply live a normal life. LaToya Jackson's evolving appearance has sparked debate about the pressures to maintain youthfulness in the entertainment industry. As a member of the Jackson family, she was always in the public eye, and her changing looks have kept people talking. The conversation around her is less about the specifics and more about what it says regarding the expectations placed on women in music. Aging is a reality for everyone, but for pop stars, it often comes with harsh judgment. Kim Carnes, who made waves in the 80s with Betty Davis Eyes, has stepped back from the spotlight to write music from home. Her look has changed from the glamorous pop star image to something more understated and authentic. Kim's decision to focus on her craft away from public view is another example of how these women have chosen new paths that work for them. Not every transformation is about stepping away. Dolly Parton has never shied away from her evolving style. Known for her signature wigs, rhinestones, and open attitude about her appearance, Dolly has always owned her choices. Her look has changed over the years, but her honesty and confidence has only added to her enduring appeal. These transformations come down to a mix of personal choice, circumstance, and the pressure that comes with being in the public eye. Some stars embrace aging and let the world see their changes, while others seek ways to hold on to a certain image. The public's expectations can be relentless, especially for women, and the criticism can be just as intense for those who try to keep up appearances as for those who don't. What's clear is that these changes are about more than just looks. For many of these women, transformation is tied to survival, reinvention, and the search for meaning beyond fame. The stories behind these new identities reveal how complicated life can be when everyone is watching and judging every move. But appearances are only part of the story. Behind the transformations, there are hidden struggles and private victories that the public rarely sees. The next chapter uncovers what really happens when the cameras stop rolling, stories that challenge everything you thought you knew about these icons. It's easy to think these pop stars had it all, but the reality behind the fame often looked very different. The stories you didn't know, hidden struggles, and unexpected triumphs show that life in the spotlight came with pressures most people never see. Karen Carpenter is a name that still means a lot to music fans. Her voice with the Carpenters was unmistakable, and songs like Close to You made her a household name. But while the world saw her as the picture of health and happiness, Karen privately battled anorexia nervosa at a time when few understood the disorder. The pressure to maintain a certain image was relentless. In 1983, she died at just 32 years old, and her story has become a warning about the dangers of perfectionism and the lack of support for mental health in the entertainment world. Whitney Houston's life followed a similar pattern. Adored by millions but struggling behind the scenes, her incredible talent brought her global fame. But by the 1990s, her battles with addiction became public knowledge. Even as she released hits like I Will Always Love You, the pressure to maintain a flawless image took its toll. The media focused on her personal struggles, and her tragic death in 2012 left fans and fellow artists asking how someone with so much could lose so much. Not every story ends in heartbreak. Tina Turner's life is proof that it's possible to come back from the lowest point. She was already a star with hits like Proud Mary, but her personal life was filled with pain. Tina endured years of an abusive marriage before finally leaving with very little and starting over. She rebuilt her career from the ground up and became one of the top-selling artists in the world. Tina's journey from hardship to empowerment inspired millions and showed that strength can come from even the darkest places. Stevie Nicks also faced her own battles during the height of Fleetwood Mac's fame. Known for her unique voice and style, Stevie struggled with substance abuse in the band's wildest years. She later talked openly about her recovery, calling her decision to get clean one of the most important choices of her life. Her honesty about her struggles has helped others and made her a symbol of resilience and second chances. The media played a huge role in how these stories were told. Joan Jett, for example, was often labeled as difficult just for refusing to fit into the industry's expectations. She built her career on hits like I Love Rock and Roll, but behind the scenes, she faced constant criticism for being herself. In the end, Joan's refusal to change for anyone helped her outlast trends and cemented her place as a true icon. For many stars, the spotlight brought more than just attention. It brought isolation and unhealthy ways of coping. The constant pressure to perform, look perfect, and stay relevant led some to financial trouble. Toni Braxton, despite selling millions of records, later spoke openly about unexpected debts and the harsh realities of music industry contracts. Her willingness to talk about these issues gave fans a more honest look at what fame can really cost. But there are stories of hope and comeback too. Gloria Estefan's life changed forever after a serious bus accident in 1990 left her with a fractured spine. Doctors warned she might never perform again, but through determination and months of therapy, she returned to the stage in 1991. Her comeback tour was more than a concert. It was a statement about resilience and refusing to give up. Cyndi Lauper, famous for her bold style and hits like Girls Just Want to Have Fun, also faced tough times. Earlier in her career, she dealt with financial setbacks and industry rejection. Instead of giving up, she reinvented herself and became a vocal LGBTQ+ ally, launching the True Colors Fund to help homeless youth. Cyndi's work offstage has made her even more respected, proving that pop stars can use their influence for real change. These stories remind us that fame is never as simple as it looks. The women behind the hits faced real pain, made tough choices, and found ways to keep going even when everything seemed against them. Their struggles and triumphs show that the real story isn't always what you see on stage or in the headlines. As you think about the journeys these stars have taken, it's clear that fame shapes lives in ways no one expects. For every hit song or glamorous photo, there's a private moment of strength, loss, or growth that defines who these women really are. Looking back at these pop icons, it's clear that their influence goes far beyond the music charts. They broke barriers, faced personal battles, and helped shape the culture of their time. Their choices, whether bold reinventions or quiet retreats, helped to inspire and provoke discussion. Which transformation surprised you the most? Comment below. Like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into pop culture's greatest transformations. No matter where they are today, these women show that the end of fame is just the start of a new journey.